on to the latest in Hong Kong. Chief Executive Carrie Lam has called for the police to resolve the standoff at the Polytechnic University peacefully. The seizures has raised fears of a crackdown on scores of protesters who have remained in the campus surrounded by police. Mrs. Lam said she had instructed police to not immediately arrest minors under the age of 18. About 100 people are still in the university after about 600 protesters escaped or were evacuated overnight, including several hundred who were under 18 years old. In Singapore, Trade and Industry Minister Chun said that Hong Kong has reached a breaking point and that Singapore can learn from the situation there. He highlighted 4 lessons.
Political systems that only promote contestations and debate without concrete and constructive actions cannot deliver or solve problems. Political systems where parties only champion narrow sectoral interests without consideration of and compromise for the greater good also cannot be sustainable. Today, too many governments and societies are too focused on the immediate and domestic, without sufficient considerations for the future or external. All elections cannot be just about the here and now, without consideration for the long-term future of our people and country. To insist on maximal individual gains at the expense of the common and collective good cannot be the Singapore way. The pursuit of such narrow interests will instead fracture the political centre for compromise and constructive solutioning. So Singapore's continued relevance to the world is never a given. We must work hard, distinguish ourselves, and stay exceptional amidst the global uncertainties.
With us in the studio now is ST News Editor Zakir Hussain. Hey Zakir.
Hi.
Welcome to the show. Now Zakir, why did Minister Chan feel the need to weigh in on the situation?
I think the situation in Hong Kong, as Mr. Chan described it, reached breaking point of the weekend. And I think the situation is expected to get more tense in the coming weeks. I think I can venture a couple of reasons why he decided to touch on Hong Kong at this time. I think it comes about a week and a bit after PM Lee also raised concerns about the situation at the PEP convention 2 Sundays ago. And I think it's, they want to remind people that don't think what happened there, protests that eventually spiraled out of control and, relations between people and the police just deteriorating and falling apart quite quickly could not happen here. The second thing, of course, the second reason I think is, of course, I think this, I wouldn't call it electioneering, but maybe, mindful or alerting Singaporeans that, as we head into a general election in the coming months, maybe it's worth reminding or thinking about, what sort of policies you want, what sort of governance you want.
So Zakir, going back a little bit to what Minister Chan said, why do you think Minister chose these 4 specific lessons to highlight?
I think they encapsulate, I guess, why objectively I think Hong Kong, the situation in Hong Kong has ended up the way it has. In Hong Kong, there are no direct elections. And I think we've reached a situation in the 20 or so past years where a lot of ordinary Hong Kongers feel their political elites don't represent them and aren't responsive to feedback from the ground. And that's something I think not just voters but also ruling parties and elected officials should bear in mind. Long-term policy making, I think, is also key. For instance, one key grouse of Hong Kongers is sort of rising cost of living and unsustainable housing prices. And I think Mr. Chan chose to highlight the point that in Singapore, for instance, the proceeds of land sales go into past reserves, and you don't, in Hong Kong, whereas in Hong Kong, land can be held by private developers without using it and so on, and it sort of drives up prices and people feel hard done by. And I think the other 2 points he touched on, I think social cohesion was also a factor. I think the sort of sense of inequality, the gaps between the haves and the have-nots has widened a fair bit in Hong Kong.
Right. Well, thanks, Zakir, for coming on the show and giving us some insight on the matter. If you'd like to read more, you can always visit our website at straitstimes.com.